So if we consider the variance in the distribution of homeworks across the historical data, we will
Wait a minute! Who are you?
so let's start over. Hi, my name is Jan Nowicki. I'll be your instructor for the research methods class you're taking this fall. Um, I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. I hope you can hear me because this is as close as I can get to a functional setup. That's my face. You won't see me waving my hands around in class because we are all online. So, with this mode of operation, we have some challenges. Challenge number one is that I'm teaching 3 sections of 310, where I usually taught a little bit more statistics and a bit less research methods, which allowed for diversity of ideas but also diversity of homeworks. Here I'm facing currently 91 students in this class, which means that if over the course of the semester each one of you writes about 30 pages of homework, I'm gonna be stuck with four, five.
It's over 9,000!
Over 9,000 pages to read, and as much as I like and enjoy reading, I reached about 6 pages an hour due to, we'll call it dyslexia for now. There's more of it. So that's not working for me. Now, on the other hand, I cannot give out A's left and right because then people that actually care about the subject and actually doing the work are stuck feeling unappreciated, and that's not good either. Um, which brings me to the idea that I don't much care for grades.
Oh shit.
And I hate to admit that, but grades are a very arbitrary way to measure how successful, smart, dedicated you are. And what I found recently to work a lot better is to force you to forget all those habits you had from all the other classes where you read something, you mushed it together with something else that you read, and bring it back in a 5, 10, 15 page essay, and I read it, and then I wrote little notes, and I frowned upon the fact that your bibliography wasn't written in MLA, Chicago, PLA, WTF, OMG style, and I took points because you had grammar errors and your margins were too big or your font was too small and whatnot. And all of it is very, from my experience as a student, I've been a student for 13 years altogether, college experience. I found those little things a lot more petty. And assignments which I enjoyed were assignments which challenged my thinking, not my ability to type. Especially since there are tools out there like Text Inflator, where you type out an essay and it fills it with random words just to make it bigger. There's essay generators, which are either free or paid. There's Fiverr, where you can pay somebody 50 cents to write you an essay. There's essay bots, essay typer, AI paraphrasing tool, AI writers, and just paraphrasing tools. And so the amount of words and letters you're putting together to convince me that you understand doesn't matter. I mean, a good paper is a good paper, but how many of you are prepared to spend the next 50 or 60 hours giving me a good paper? Giving me something that actually has a thought process behind it and this. I would imagine 80, 90 of you would be like, yeah, I can do it, I'm willing to do it. But is that teaching you anything? Is that getting you through, right? And does this force me to use tools like Turnitin to check if you plagiarized anything? I mean,
FBI, open up!
I didn't. Never did. Never copied and pasted and forgot to do citation. And you get me. And so from a technical point of view, this class is a little bit less about Puba and a little bit more about questions. The purpose of this class is to get you comfortable with the fact that you don't know and that most people don't know either. And what we are going to try to do is we're going to try to build a set of tools for you to work around this I don't know state. By the way, I have an accent. It's really stuffy in what I would call my office, and it's really hot outside. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, just let me know in the forums and I'll enunciate better. That being said, so we need to figure out a way to do it. Now, again, first time I taught this class, I figured we write a research paper because this was what everybody did and whatnot. And I found this to be a chore. Yes, there were some fantastic research papers I got to read, and there were some that were mediocre. Not bad, but needing a lot more work and a lot more polish. And again, I'm not great at writing myself. I'm really good at setup and building the research paper, but the actual fill in the 15,000 words limit thing was very bad. When I graduated with my master's degree a long time ago, the average dissertation was 100 to 150 pages. Mine was 24. Well, that was for my engineering. My master's degree, my dissertation was 28, where the average for the college was 160. I got an NA, but I didn't have all the fillers. Pissed everybody off on the committee. And when I asked them how many of them actually read all the dissertations from cover to cover, most of them said that they read the introduction and they read the conclusion, and then looked at some pictures in between. So why bother, right? And if we have so many tools generating text, wouldn't it be more interesting to challenge yourself to do something smaller? So why the hell do we bother with research methods? I mean, sure, Puba as a subject is fascinating, and I personally find it a great opportunity to expand my horizons. And ever since I started teaching Puba, I've been learning a lot, both about the subject and a certain approach. I'm an engineer by training, so research has been done slightly differently, and I've started my Puba journey for teaching as a instructor for statistics. So branching into research method allows me to connect this hard knowledge I have from my engineering perspective to make it approachable. So why the hell are we bothering with research methods, right? Isn't administrative law a lot more fun to do? And I'm assuming most of you took administrative law at some point, so or are going to take it, so enjoy. So why do we bother? We bother with research methods for a very simple reason, is most people don't know how to ask questions. And I'm looking at the little poll we started on our site, and most of you are somewhere between disaster preparedness, healthcare, and justice administration, which is fantastic. Disaster preparedness, climate change, and we have our administration doing one, and our scientists is doing another, and the population thinking the third. So there's a lot of really juicy things we can do there. For healthcare, well, we got COVID. Excellent, right? And again, the administration does one, the CDC does another, everybody else does a third, population thinks fourth, and where are we standing with that? And then for justice administration, well, we have the protests, Black Lives Matter protests, anti-police protests, or anti-police brutality protests. All of those subjects are very charged, and this class isn't here to discuss our political views, but rather the underlying issues we deal with, both in the data sense and in a research sense. And unfortunately, my personal opinions are going to show eventually. And as much as I would like to tell you that I'm going to be objective, it's very hard for me because I believe in data, I believe in science. So I'm putting it out there. I will do my best to be objective, but I apologize in advance if I'm not. There's certain things I don't agree with, and certain things I strongly believe in. So yes. But we will try to talk about the issues in terms of questions. And this is all there is to that. And so I envision this class as a extended discussion where certain views of yours are going to get challenged. And as much as I would like to tell you that by the end of this class you're going to make a fantastic researcher, I believe that by the end of this class you're going to be disappointed. Not because I screwed up the class, hopefully I won't, but because you realize that the world around you has strong limitations which are an obstacle to making a difference, and that's painful. Being oblivious is a blessing, and unfortunately, despite everybody's best efforts, you are going to end up seeing it if you're not seeing it already. So how are we going to do this class? Well, we're going to do this class the following way. We are going to use the free textbook because screw the publisher. I mean, any of you feel like paying $160, $170 for a textbook?
No.
Okay, well, that solves it then. So we have a free textbook. You can, use that, print it. It's out there to be used. There's a lot of other resources we're going to do. And then I am going to handpick a bunch of articles for you to read. And so what's going to happen is you're going to read the book, a chapter or chapter and a half or 2 chapters at a time. And then you're going to read an article or 2. and I will try to keep them lighter. A couple semesters ago, I was accused that the articles were somewhat heavy and somewhat difficult to read. So I'm going to try to keep it lighter. I'm not saying those are going to be easy. But afterwards, I will hope you either have a discussion with your fellow classmates, or you post something on Piazza and we're going to try to discuss it. After which, I'm going to hope for a paper. No, unfortunately, you're going to have to do it. And I know I said I don't want to read large things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit the paper. I'm thinking 2 pages, 450 to 500 words max. If you cannot put an idea in 2 pages, you're going to have to figure out which parts of the ideas. And that paper is going to be scrutinized by both myself and a random selection of your classmates. So what you're going to have to do at some point is actually read somebody else's paper and ask questions about that. Figure out if what they wrote you agree with, not with their thesis, but with the methodology of how they got there. Are they using the right terms? Is there a weakness? And I'm going to provide you a way to show your understanding, because I get to read both the initial paper, the assessment of your peer reviewers, and I will do my own assessment, and that will build a really nice foundation for me to figure out if you're getting this or not, if you're asking the right questions. What I'm looking for is, I'm not looking for a structured essay with an introduction, lit review and whatnot. I'm looking for a well put together thought process, a reflection piece if you like. But I'm looking for brains. My approach to do grading is, you either have the talent and the knowledge from somewhere else to do the job well, or you put in the work. And so I think a peer review system is going to work pretty well. And then I'm going to review this. This way I have a quick way to both assess you and the reviewer, and hopefully that will provide us, I'm just going to check up here. Hopefully that will provide us with a clear view to do the assessment. Now, if you look at the grading criteria in the syllabus, participation 15%, that might change. The assignments, which is, did you do the reading, did you write your paper, those can be about 40. Peer review is going to be about 20. Lit review, this is going to be part of your peer reviews, where you're going to double check things. And then if we decide to do final project, about 10% of that. That's this. This will or might be adjusted. If any of you took my class, you know that me and grades have a weird relationship. As in, even if you think you're failing, you could be passing the grade with the class with an A grade. And sometimes when you're thinking you're getting A's, but you're not pushing yourself hard enough, you might be getting an A minus or a B plus. For me, your brain and your ability to produce quality work is a lot more important than your ability to memorize things. I don't care if you memorize things. In this world that we live in right now, most of us have one of these, right? And information as such is available. You just go there, check your Snapchat, check your TikTok, check Instagram, and you have that information, right? So memorizing is not useful. What's useful is ability to ask questions. And what research methods is a formalization of that question asking, right? The reason why kids are fantastic to teach research to is because they're naturally curious. Most of us, by the time we hit our 30s, 40s, 50s, right, or late 20s even, most of us have gone through SAT, ACTs, Regents exams, college courses, memorizing this, memorizing that, writing this assignment, writing that assignment. We assume that this is how things are. And the consequences of assuming that this is how things are the current three disasters we have deal with. We have the Black Lives Matter protest, the coronavirus, and lastly, we have the climate change. Because the assumption was that somebody else will ask the questions, and nobody stepped up to do it. So people that don't care about the general goodness of this country or the world got in and started doing their tweaking. Betsy DeVos is one of those fantastic examples of what useless in power looks like. Sorry, personal opinion. So what are we going to do first? Well, tomorrow, Monday, class start. So officially, you are going to be joined at the hip for 15 weeks. And what I'm going to hope we do is most of the class is still not Piazza. You're going to join in. I'm going to be spamming you with emails. I limited Laulima to almost nothing because Laulima never works out for me. There's always issues. So I'm going to be posting things on Piazza. All the resources are going to be filled. What we're going to use Laulima for is we're going to use Laulima for the actual assignments. We're going to submit the assignments there. We're going to do the peer reviews there. And hopefully this will allow us to have one website for homeworks and one website for all the discussion. First week, we're going to read chapter 1 and start on chapter 2. We're going to read those two. There is an article by a lady called... my memory is so good. A lady called Wanda Orlikowski, which is a Polish name, about awareness is the first critical thing. It's a long conversation. It's about 20 pages long, but the font is pretty large. So there is that. If you don't want to sit down and read, there's Chrome extensions that allow you to read. So you upload this to your Google Doc and you have it read to you. So there's ways around this. Get through this. And then the assignment is going to show up probably Wednesday. And the assignment is going to be like, hey, what did you get out of it? And there's, 2-page limit. And again, the specifics of it are going to show up. And then after you have time to do that, and let's say we're going to give you a couple of days to do it, maybe a week to finish reading and do this, there is going to be a group of people selected at random that's going to review and look through your writing based on their own experience. And hopefully that will strike a discussion. And in between, we're going to be involved in Piazza, and I'm going to sit here and do my little spiel and tell you what to look for. For example, in chapter 1, you should probably look at page 6, page 5 and 6, when there's talk about the types of scientific research. Because between exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory, there are little differences, and how we approach this kind of focuses our question. I also will tell you that on page 5, there's the scientific method, and there is a whole conversation about what does that mean. What does mean logical, confirmable, repeatable, and scrutinizable. means. And again, there is this. If we're looking at chapter 2, I'm going to tell you, for example, that on page 15 there is a really cool graph talking about how we approach this world, building those models, because the whole notion of research method is to take a set of observations and a theory and try to wiggle it back together and build some model of it, right? And trying to figure out. And why do we build models? Well, because we want to predict things we don't know about. I mean, the whole idea behind knowledge is maybe differently. What's the difference between knowledge and information? In a basic sense, what's the difference between knowledge and data or information? And so here's an example. If you're standing at a pedestrian crossing, there's going to be a little pedestrian light, red and green, or walk and stop. And that's a piece of information. Piece of information is that this is a pedestrian crossing. Piece of information is that cars are driving through it because it is a big, busy intersection. Do you walk out when the light is red? Yes, no. Well, of course you don't. Why? Because you're going to get hit by a car. How do you know that? Well, you know that because you are capable of taking this information, busy intersection, pedestrian crossing, red light, and synthesizing that the chances of getting hit are much higher, much higher than if you walked onto this intersection when you had green light and the cars were to stop, right? And this is knowledge. This ability to build this kind of model of what's going to happen allows you to predict the future. If you know the future and you know what's going to happen in the future, this allows you to be extremely powerful. Imagine if you knew what's going to happen in 2 years, half a year, hell, in November, right? The next lottery ticket, the next horse race, the next stock market, right? If you know that, you're extremely powerful. Knowledge is power because it allows you to predict behavior. It allows you to predict future. And so what research methods are is a quantifiable approach on how to get all this information and build something spacious about it, right? And by spacious, I mean something that is encompassing more data than you have collected to build a model. And there's different ways we can do it, right? Exploratory research talks about, hey, can we figure out how big this thing is? What's the shape, right? Descriptive research talks about the finite details about it and focusing on certain areas. And then explanatory research says, hey, this is because of that. Sorry, I live next to a busy road. So this is this kind of greatness about this. And yeah, that's why I teach it. I teach it because hopefully I can get you to see the world as a puzzle, as a fantastic combination of things that make or not make sense but have a cause and effect. And hopefully we can explain it together and explore this explanation together. That's my little spiel for hello. So, welcome to the class. My name is Jan, or Dr. J is nice, but I don't have a doctorate, so Mr. J or Mr. N is just fine. You got the syllabus, you got the textbook. You're welcome that you don't have to buy a textbook. So that's that. You got the first article. You got. We started a discussion on Piazza, and I'm trying my best to respond. Again, there's 90 of you. There's one of me. I could separate this class into 3 sections, but I figured it would be much more interesting to have this large group of people with diverse ideas, because you're not all the same, kind of moaning through this information together. So you have that, and then I will be uploading more and more articles as I find better and better versions of them. Yeah, and if you need me, I'm here. You have a way to set up a call. You can private message me. If you have to email me, but on a bad day I might lose your email, because the whole administration at the university is suddenly scared that their jobs are becoming obsolete because there's nobody on campus, or almost nobody on campus. So why do we have so many X, Y, and Z? So they're spamming me with emails and trainings and etc. So I will do my best to find you, but I might lose you. So we did that, we did this, we did this, we talked about the syllabus. If you guys have any questions, I will build a repository for questions, and then hopefully at the end of the week I can sit down and answer those. Because again, you guys can read what the book is saying, so me saying exactly what the book is saying is so much pointless. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to go on a tangent and just go somewhere else, venture out there, and hopefully that will produce enough facets to make this course exciting. Because from the couple pokes I got already, some of you are worried that this is going to be just heavy reading. Oh my god, what am I doing here? And my answer is no. This class is going to be fun, I hope. I don't know. I never had 90 people in one class, well, not since college, so this is going to be exciting. So just let me know. Hopefully this goes through. Let me know if the sound effects are annoying or not. Do you guys want more technical? Do you want more paraphrasing? Should we go after specific things like the Trump administration versus CDC issue? Would you guys like to question that, or are we doing after the justice system, or are we doing climate change? I hear there's a double hurricane coming in on the East Coast, so that's going to be exciting, because it's going to be a freaking disaster, and everybody could predict that and nobody did, and now actual people are hurting. Yeah, that's another thing, by the way, is we talk about public administration as the public. One thing we forget, that behind all those statistics are real people, are single individuals who have lives and whatnot. And as much as sometimes we cannot care about every single individual in an individual way, we have to group them because there's limits on resources and our approaches. How we treat the subject will have long-term consequences for everybody. If you decide that healthcare is not an issue because it's working right now, it's not, but it's working right now, that's affecting a lot of individuals. And again, this is not a big box of random, even, uniform thing. It's a box of individuals, and it's going to be very important not to forget that. Okay, so boxing is done. I'll see you guys in the next one, and in between I have 6 more messages to reply to on Piazza, so stay tuned.